When I first drew the Freak Brothers, I was influenced by the Marx Brothers and the Three Stooges. I saw a film, double feature film one night with the Marx Brothers and another with the Three Stooges, and I thought I could do something like that, so I made a little film, and the first Freak Brothers strip was a publicity for this film. But everyone liked the comic strip better than the film, so I gave up being a film director. In Austin, Texas, where I lived at the time, there was a weekly leftist tabloid newspaper that I was in agreement with their editorial policy, but the paper was very boring looking, no pictures. I said, what you need is a comic strip, like big newspapers have comic strips to attract readers, so I'll do some Freak Brothers comics for this paper, and that's how they got started. At first, Rip-Off Press, my publishing company in San Francisco, distributed the Freak Brothers in the head shops. And at the time, the head shops pretended to be tobacco accessory stores. And the police, when they discovered the Freak Brothers comics in the head shops, they say, well, this is like an instruction book for smoking marijuana. You can't call yourself a tobacco shop. And so the head shops who were making more profits from the pipes and things quit selling the comic books. But happily, at the same time, the comic book stores appeared, and comic book stores didn't have this problem. If they had customer complaints, they would hide the underground comics under the counter, and they were labeled for adults only, but there wasn't that problem of being marijuana propaganda. After a while, we discovered that any comic strip with cats in it would sell well, and so we separated the Fat Freddy's cat from the Freak Brothers and made it into a separate series of its own. It's still featured in the Freak Brothers. Garfield, as cutie as he is still one of the funnier strips in the daily newspapers. When people ask that question, I say, Fat Freddy's cat still has his balls. I've never read a Marvel comic. I can't stand that sort of thing. I know what they are. I know who Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are, but it's boring. I read Superman when I was a kid, when he was just the old-fashioned Superman that could jump tall buildings in a single bound, and he was faster than a speeding bullet. But now he can do anything. Wonder Warthog. That was a parody of Superman and Batman that I started in 1961. I was living in New York at the time, and I remember where I was when I had the brilliant idea of Wonder Warthog. I had a dictionary with a picture of a warthog, and it was the ugliest animal I could imagine. Fluide I never did very much for. Charlie Monsuel, I did some pages for, and Choron magazine, Echo des Savanes, les Freak Brothers et le Chat de Fat Freddy, qui ont paru en Psychopathe sont très détaillés. J'étais très impressionné dans les années 60 par l'art de Robert Crumb qui, par exemple, en vue de la cité, il dessinait chaque fenêtre de chaque édifice avec tous les détails, un style obsessif. I hardly ever wrote in French. It had to be very simple. I would write in English and get other people to translate for me. With Psychopath, the editor, Paul Karalee, helped me translate. I didn't have to hire a translator. The editor would do it for nothing. You might think that I'm very prolific when you see all the Freak Brothers and Fat Freddy's Cat and Wonder Warthog and Not Quite Dead comics, but in fact that's just an accumulation over 70 years of work, so I'm not prolific like Robert Crumb is prolific. He has no problem drawing one page per day. For me, one page takes a week. When I was in art school, the art teachers didn't teach me anything. They would look at my work and say, "Keep on drawing," and that was all they ever said. And they're right in a way. They could have taught me some things, but you don't learn anything unless you do it. And it's the actual drawing. You teach yourself by trial and error.